and there was a big pile of cow poo. I would say I did burn out. You've just got that extra bit of intensity with Delhi. I was going to get sick or not while I was here. I don't want to risk it.
This is part 4 of my trip to India. My 5 essential India tips.
My first ever India trip has just come to an end, and after thinking about how amazing the trip was, I also realised it came with some difficulties along the way as well. So I've decided to put together my top 5 tips for people travelling to India for the very first time. So before I go into my tips, I want to point out that everybody's experiences are going to be different, especially in a place like India, because it is a very, very intense place. It's an amazing place. There's so much to do, so much to see, but I think for everybody it could be quite overwhelming, especially for the first time. So because it was my first time, I feel like I can give some of these little tips that might help you along the way. So the first thing, it's quite an obvious one, but be careful what you eat and what you drink when you're going to India for the first time. So lots of countries will say, don't drink the tap water. This is definitely the situation for India. Don't even bother trying. I mentioned this in my Udaipur trip.
There's one thing I haven't really mentioned yet, but obviously one of the big concerns before coming to India, and I think it's concerns of friends and family as well, was if I was going to get sick or not while I was here. Because obviously you hear so many horror stories about people going to India and, you know, spending the whole time on the toilet or, you know, that sort of stuff. But I think as long as you're sensible, I haven't particularly gone for any sort of street food because that is everywhere. There's so many people selling food on the streets and a lot of it smells great and looks great. But I think if you're going to come to India, as long as you're sensible, you should be fine. And obviously the big one is drink bottled water rather than the tap water. My first few days, I wasn't even rinsing my toothbrush using the taps, but I got bored of that. So I've been using the tap water to rinse my toothbrush and things like that, but I haven't been drinking any of it. So yeah, bottled water at all times.
The bottled water is so cheap, so all you have to do is have that little bit of effort to go and get it. That's done, easy. So don't get lazy, don't think, oh no, I'll try it out. It's not worth it. Don't do it. Just buy the bottled water. You can get it for 20 rupees or some might do 50 rupees, but it's incredibly cheap. So make sure you're always having bottled water. And the second thing is, there's so much amazing food within India. I've had lots of different types of Indian food whilst I've been here, and it's all been unreal. The one thing that I've been very surprised about is a type of dessert which I'd never had before, I'd never heard of before, and it's called gulab jamun, and it's this here. It always comes in 2, and it always comes in this syrup, and it's really good. Yeah, it's really soft. Almost like a donut, kind of. So I'm telling you, gulab jamun, you won't regret it. So you haven't got to rely on street food like you might do for some other places. There's restaurants everywhere, and the food is incredible everywhere you go. So some of the street food will be washed with tap water. Some of it will be left just in the sun all day. I've not been ill the whole time I'm here, so if anyone's concerned about not coming to India because they might get ill, you know, you can get ill anywhere in the world, so I wouldn't let that put you off. So my second tip, and this involves Delhi. Delhi is a very unique place, I would say. It's just chaos. But what comes with Delhi are scams. So hopefully not everybody has similar experiences, but I would say if you're coming here for the first time and you're going straight to Delhi, just beware, there's going to be scams happening. Whether it's taxis and tuk-tuks, they will try and charge you a ridiculous amount of money for where you're going. I had a journey where a driver told me he could take me to, 4 or 5 different places, maybe for an hour. And it was a rainy day on this particular day, so I thought, oh well, why not? Second tree, just got ridiculously heavy again. This could be an ongoing theme of this day, I think, and there's nowhere for me to go because I'm on that long road between the Parliament building and the India Gate, so I'm a bit stuck really.
I'm not sure if that horrendous sound got picked up on the microphone then, but someone did a very large spit right next to me.
During this journey, I visited Gandhi's house. See my Delhi video for more.
But I said to him, how much will this cost? And he said, oh no, don't worry, money's taken care of, money's taken care of. So straight away I knew there was going to be a discussion very soon about money. And it took me about 20 minutes with him to get a price of how much he was going to charge me. And eventually he got into the back of the tuk-tuk with me and said it would be 3,000 rupees, which is about £30, which for India is just ridiculous money. So eventually we got the price down to about 400, and even that was probably being overcharged. But by that point I was so fed up with the whole conversation. So that's one scam, which that will happen to everybody. Across India as well, you see that a little bit, but particularly in Delhi. The second scam that I came across, which was by far the worst, was in Connaught Place, which is like a big circle of shops and restaurants. And it was here where it happened twice in 2 nights. The first time I didn't even realise what was going on because I looked down at my shoe and had a big clump of mud on the front of my trainer. And there was a man who came over and said, oh sir, your shoe, it's dirty, let me clean it for you, only 50 rupees or whatever it was he charged. And I was like, oh no, it's okay, I've just kicked a bit of mud, it's no problem, it's fine. He said, no sir, honestly, I'll do it now. I was like, no, it's okay. And I thought nothing of it. Then the next day, same place, same thing happened, but this time I was walking and I noticed a man crouched down by my foot and he slapped my foot. So I said to him, like, what are you doing? And he's like, what? I was like, you just hit my shoe. I still hadn't realised what it was. And I looked at my shoe and there was a big pile of cow poo or dog. I don't know what it was. A big wet clump right at the front of my trainer. So I said to him, what have you just done? He's like, it wasn't me, it was somebody down there. And I was like, it obviously wasn't. He did it and then started to run away. Then straight away, somebody else came around the corner and said, sir, your shoe's dirty. So they're working together. One person does it and walks off. The next person comes over and they assume you're going to say, yeah, of course, it's fine. But with this situation, I was pretty angry because it stank. It seeped through my trainer. It was just awful. It was horrendous. But that's a scam where if you see someone by your foot, or if you see mud on the front of your shoe, just know it's come from one of them. They work as a group to do that, unfortunately. There would be plenty more scams. They're just the ones that happen to me quite often. I think it comes with the territory. Just be on your guard. Keep looking around at all times. Make sure nothing's going to happen. The crime is quite low. I never felt in danger. It's just these little scams try and make some more extra money. Tip 3, and it involves Delhi again. Don't think of India as Delhi, because if you get into the mindset of everywhere in India is the same as Delhi in terms of being so chaotic, so polluted, the scams, then you're not going to want to go further or even go to India. Delhi is Delhi, Jaipur is Jaipur, Kochi is Kochi.
And Udaipur is Udaipur. I wanted to veer away from the main city, so I walked to Sahilion Kibari, a beautiful relaxing park located on the edge of Lake Fateh Sagar. It is particularly popular for these elephant water fountains, and I can see why.
All these different places I went to, they're all so different from each other. And there are obviously so many more cities I didn't get to go to, and I'm desperate to go to in future. So not everywhere is tuk-tuks and cars all over the place and, polluted streets and lots of people crammed together. That is not the case everywhere in India.
So when I decided to come to Udaipur, it was for this reason. So much quieter. You've got the beautiful lake behind and it's just a lot more of a relaxed environment. So I'm just taking the opportunity now, sit down and gather my thoughts. It's probably the first time I've been able to do that outside my whole time in India. So it's nice.
India's one of the most diverse countries in the world. The food is different everywhere, the music is different, the people are different, the language is different. So everywhere is different within India. So don't think of India as just Delhi. But I am pointing out, Delhi wasn't awful by any means. I love Delhi. It was beautiful places, beautiful things to see.
One of those things is Humayun's tomb. Humayun was the second Mughal emperor and he's encased here in this beautiful building. It is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site and it has become a popular site in Delhi.
So I've made it to the top of Humayun's tomb. It almost feels like it could be Delhi's version of the Taj Mahal. It's also the middle of the day and the humidity is getting quite ridiculous. It's very hot, very, very humid, but it hasn't stopped people coming here. It's still quite busy, and this is probably the place where I've seen more foreigners than anywhere so far in all of Delhi.
It was then time for me to go inside the mausoleum, and unlike the Taj Mahal, I was allowed to film inside here.
Unlike a lot of these visiting places across Delhi, you have to pay a fee to get in, and for foreigners it's normally around 600 rupees, which is around £6 or so. For Indian nationals it's always less, of course, only around 50 rupees. That's to be expected. As a foreigner you're always paying the foreigner tax on everything, so that's fine, just the way it is. It's still not a lot of money, and I think whilst you're here you've got to visit these amazing things.
A lot of the people were lovely. You've just got that extra bit of intensity with Delhi compared to the other places. So that's the only reason I'm mentioning that. Don't let it put you off, because India has so much to offer. Tip 4, and that is just be open-minded. You go to different places because things are different. I would say don't go to India and think, oh, why are they doing that? Or, oh, this is so busy. Oh, it's too hot. You know, this and that. You've got to go in with a positive mindset, like you do with any place on earth. But India will probably test your patience a little bit more than others. But you've got to be open-minded. Just go with it. If it's busy, yeah, it's busy. If there's cows in the road or monkeys running around or whatever it may be, you go to these places because they're different. Don't expect it to be like your own home. You'll get asked for hundreds of photographs, selfies, group pictures. You'll get asked by hundreds of people if they can take you in their tuk-tuk, if you want these tickets, if you want this, if you want that. Don't get me wrong, it gets difficult, it becomes hard work, it can make your mood drop. And that did happen to me. My mood started to get a bit like, oh, just leave me alone now. But it's never worth getting angry. You've just got to remember their situation compared to yours, be open-minded like I said, and enjoy the trip. And my 5th big tip, this one I wish I had done myself more than any of them, because I was sensible with my food. I did remain calm in all situations, but this thing I didn't do, and that is take 1 or 2 rest days during the trip. When I go somewhere, especially on my own, I want to make every second count. So I will wake up, have food, and I'm out for the day. I want to see as much as I possibly can every single day. I'll get up really early to get a flight or a train or something to get to the next place, survive on 3 hours sleep maybe, and go again. Just keep going. But eventually you will burn out. And I would say I did burn out towards the end of my India trip. As I got towards Mumbai and Kochi, I felt tired every day, and eventually it all catches up with you, because India has the heat, the humidity, it had the rain when I was there, it has the pollution, the traffic, people constantly wanting your attention. That's a big one if you ask me. I'm going to finish this just with some very quick fire tips. Bargain for your tuk-tuks, but don't save pennies. Don't just get a taxi or a tuk-tuk to everywhere you go. Do some walking. You will come across things you wouldn't have seen otherwise. You have to get your rupees when you're in India. So don't try and get it from a currency exchange before you get there. You can only get rupees in India.
It was time for me to finish my last India drawing, and seeing these Mumbai cricket pitches, artwork, and seeing these kids pretend to be their heroes, I decided to draw Mumbai-born Indian legend Sachin Tendulkar. I have one last tip, and that is just visit India. It is an incredible country, full of colour, warmth and diverse regions. It will be a trip you will never forget. Check out some more of my videos, and do me a favour, like the videos, comment and subscribe to the channel.